everyone, g'day mate. We are here to discuss the Australian Grand Prix. Now we're talking about everything possible with the Australian Grand Prix. All the discussing, all the talking points, and including the halo. Halo is the worst design in F1 history. I do hope y'all enjoy though. So we're gonna review everyone from bottom to front. So here we go. Let's start the DNFs. Sorokin ended up parking his car, and yes, he is going to get loads of question marks because the greatest F1 driver of all time, Robert Kubica, was in the paddock watching him when he wanted a drive. But I feel that if Sorokin gets a load of retirements this season, then I think Kubica could return full time in a race seat. Imagine that. Then Ericsson, he went in the pits quietly, then entered his actual pits box. Then that was it. His race ended a bit earlier, but you know. The next one is Pierre Gasly, the Toro Rosso Honda. Now the Toro Rosso Honda is a Honda for you, yeah. Yeah, but in all fairness, the Toro Rosso Honda, they never had one retirement yet, and this was their first ever retirement this season. Of course, in testing, they have not retired or they have not had problems with the engine, mainly because they've been choosing 3 engines in testing, like testing them out, and yeah. Another poor day in the office for Honda. Now the 2 Haas F1 teams, a bitter pill to swallow because they both could have ideally had some great points in the race and was going really well, of course, until Magnussen pitted. It then ended up, of course, the Haas F1 team is similar to Ferrari, in which they make smoke as well at the back of their exhaust. So yeah, so Magnussen went in the pits, and then the pit crew, tried to stop the car as soon as he near the end of the pit, and didn't, and that cost Magnussen a wheel and a race. And Magnussen could have got on the podium in my opinion, because Raikkonen weren't doing much during all the race, and yes, so Magnussen could have got 3rd and Grosjean could have got 4th. So the next person is, funnily enough, Toro Rosso Honda again, with Hartley last place and already lapped. Honda will get their act together eventually, but it will take some time. Fingers crossed though for Toro Rosso's sake, it's not 3 years like McLaren was. Yeah. Then Williams of Lance Stroll. Williams are at the bottom in terms of the pecking order. And Williams need to get their act together. Someone need to slap them in the face and say, wake up and smell the petrol behind everyone's car, because Williams, they have been poor so far, and yeah, I do hope they improve in the near future, but with a tightly packed midfield, I doubt that so much. The next one is Leclerc. Now, Charles Leclerc is a great youngster, is a great talent in the F1 grid. Obviously racing for Alfa Sauber, and beating a Williams and a Toro Rosso for Sauber. That is incredible. And last season, obviously, they were basically the worst team on the grid, but I think now that Toro Rosso and Williams are worse than Sauber. Obviously, you'd be saying, "Oh, this result don't change the fact that Williams had a bad result today, but they won't have a bad result next race." But Leclerc, he is our star man because he is the one to look out for. And yes, I think that'll be super for Leclerc. Great result for Sauber Alpha. And yes, big things for Sauber Alpha in the near future. Esteban Ocon and Perez, they were the team that the cameras did not show much, if anything, because they both had a quiet race all race, and they just miss out on the point. And yeah, Force India, I reckon they got their heads around this new name change and new sponsorship and all that. That they need to put their heads on the track and not off it. And yeah, I think that'd be good for Force India, or Force, or whatever they're going to be called. The next one is Carlos Sainz Jr. Now, Carlos Sainz, near the end of the race, he was on the radio talking about how nauseous he was because of his drink. Now, I don't know if he had a drink. I'm not too sure, but it was quite hot at the off and on the track temperature. 1 point 26 degrees air temperature, so a bit hot for the cars and the drivers, but not a great sign if you are struggling with the drinking. Of course, great result to keep it 10th and got a point for Renault F1 team, so kudos for that. Yeah, so a great drive for Carlos Sainz Jr. really, despite the nauseous. And yeah, Van Dorn, great 2 points for him. Of course, he's in the McLaren Renault, not as Red Bull have, and Renault, of course. But yeah, McLaren Renault of Van Dorn, he had a good race. He had a good fight with someone early on, and then obviously we did not see him for the rest of the race. So good things for McLaren as they both hit the points, and yeah, I can't wait for the future. Next one is Valtteri Bottas. Now, he went into this with a 15-place grid penalty due to crashing at qualifying and getting a 15-place grid penalty because of a gearbox change. So there's always going to be a struggle for Bottas, but good job from him coming in 8th in the race, and yeah, he made a not so good situation into an okay situation for him anyway. Yeah, so good race for Bottas. Hulkenberg got stuck right behind the rear wing of Red Bull Racing of the Verstappen, and yeah, he looked good for the race, but he needed to overtake Verstappen, I thought, because when you kept seeing the Alonso and Verstappen fight, you just saw the Hulkenberg's Renault behind just doing nothing but watch. So he could have done better, but you know, it's the first race and I can't fault him. A good points finish. The next one then is Red Bull Racing of Max Verstappen. Now, Max Verstappen had a great race. He spun. He had a good race overall. But Verstappen was looking at the gearbox of Alonso, and Verstappen, after that spin and after losing out to Haas, if Haas would have stayed in the race, I reckon Verstappen would have had about 2 points, 2 positions down because of Haas. But it's really good luck in that way for Red Bull, because Haas was causing them trouble, and I like that. So Verstappen had that spin, of course, lost out to a couple places, including eventually Alonso after the virtual safety car, then normal safety car, due to the truck being on the racetrack, the digger or crane lifter, whatever it does. And then moving on to Fernando Alonso, what a race for him. He is, to me, the star man for this Australian Grand Prix. And what a race. Racing with Alonso this year will be amazing. I think he is amazing. I always think now, back in the day, when Alonso and Schumacher had a big rivalry, and I thought that it was neck and neck with them two. And yes, I would like to say that I do hope Alonso do get a third title, and I just wish that he does, and then he can end his career, because he's always been chasing that third title, and it's due. I think it's due this season. Do you reckon, lads? That obviously, on the outside chance, if I was a betting person, then I would bet on Alonso potentially to win the title. The odds are good. Obviously, the favourite ones will be Verstappen, Hamilton, Vettel, Raikkonen, and Ricciardo. But you never know with F1. It's unpredictable at the best. So, great race for Fernando Alonso, of course. It's great to hear from the radio of his after the race, saying that we're back, baby, and I can't wait for the more races to come. They did say that that the Australian was the worst they can do. So if that's the worst, I want to see what their best is. So great race for Fernando. Ricciardo, the honey badger, the home turf boy hero, had a great race, but he kept pressure on Kimi Raikkonen in third place, but he couldn't do much with that, because obviously he would ruin his tyres more. He was just basically waiting for Raikkonen to make a mistake, and I doubt that Raikkonen would budge any time soon. So great racing for Ricciardo though overall, and unlucky not to get the third. And now third is the Iceman Kimi Raikkonen. Great result for him. All the people saying that he could retire this season. I'm for him not retiring. I like him. He's really amazing, I think. People say bringing Leclerc and Ferrari. I think a couple more seasons, yes, but I think that that Raikkonen, he is an Iceman. He does deliver on his day, and he does help out. He is a good team player, and a great podium for Kimi Raikkonen, and we all know how great he loves that champagne on the podium. So overall, a great result for Kimi, helping out obviously Vettel for winning the race. Next one is Lewis Hamilton. Lewis was a tad bit unlucky because he had a technical glitch in the base of Mercedes F1 team, and yes, it was so unlucky because Toto Wolff after the race said he had the pace to get first, but with a few moments of glitching in the radio system, Lewis thought he would just go for it, and then obviously slipped up on the grass on the same lap that he said he'll go for it, losing out 2.5 seconds to the leader of Vettel. And I think that I think Lewis needs just to keep his head down now and concentrate on winning the next race. Obviously, it's still early on this season. This is the first ever race, so I doubt it'll be too hard done by, because obviously he can win the races coming up. So great race for Lewis, but a tad bit unlucky. Now Sebastian Vettel, the person that does that one finger, he won the race, of course. And I think personally it's 50-50 between him and Hamilton for the title. But I still think if I was a betting man, I'd probably bet on Alonso. That's my thinking. And yeah, great race for Vettel. Great tactics. Whether or not they knew about the glitch at Mercedes is another matter, because if they didn't, then they would have not pitted Vettel. And yeah, but what I say to this is that what I say to this is that it was a great race overall. A bit sad that there's no crashes, but that's what you want, I guess. So I hope you all enjoy. And the final thing of this is the halo, the head protection. Everyone's talking about it, and then as soon as the race ends, no one's talking about it. Of course, I absolutely hate the thing. I agree with Toto Wolff when he said he wants to chainsaw it off. Toto, I'm fully with you. I want to just hammer it, not chainsaw it, hammer the thing off. The Halo, of course, this is my little rant now because I hate Halo. The Halo will cause more trouble than it solves. The camera, you cannot see the car, you cannot see the driver. It is a terrible way to watch F1, but I guess it's obviously they're working on new camera systems for Halo, but I think a camera, one of the cameras anyway, should be looking at the driver, seeing what his movement in the car is and what his expressions like in the cockpit, like moving around in the corners or something. That would be cool. And maybe a helmet cam or something. That would be cool. Just on the side, so you could see what he's looking at, which is cool. And you could have the camera on the car, like one of them things that stick up on the nose things. And then you can just put a tiny camera on it, looking at the driver with a halo there, and looking outwards, which is could be awesome. So yeah, I've been off topic. I've been in quiet of what I think of the Halo. I'm with Martin Brundle. The Halo is not what F1 stands for. F1 is dangerous. You can't keep it too safe, because if you do that, you keep the fans away from what is exciting. And F1 is a dangerous sport. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. You can't guarantee safety in motorsport. Obviously, we've been extremely unlucky and saddened by Jules Bianchi, but something like that shouldn't put halos on cars, because his unfortunate death was by hitting a crane at a amount of speed. If you put halo on it, that's just going to cause more damage than it would. So my issue with Halo now is that obviously it'll look pretty, but it's still the Halo. It's still the thing that people would talk about. And I do hope they do, because the Halo has no place on an F1 car. It, to me, it is the worst thing ever on an F1 car. To now, I know people are saying safety is everything, and safety should be the key thing for F1. I understand that, but F1 is safe enough without it. Think now, if a car comes in, crash into another car, and the front wing like drops off, or the front wing like goes into that halo with force, all that debris and all that sharp pieces will go into the driver's cockpit and cause some damage to the driver. You can't physically make the front wings and elements that strong. But if a crash does come, and it is a crash where the front wing goes force into the halo and causes loads of debris, sharp pieces, and like distracts the driver, then that's causing more issues. And I think that obviously people would say to put a full canopy on the cards instead of the halo. I mean, that's one way, but I still want open cockpit. It's F1. It's not Formula E. It's not any other it's not like any other series. It's Formula E. It's Formula One. People are saying electric in the future for F1. No. F1 is always a petrol motorsport, and the more petrol the better, because you get the loud sounds of the engine, and that is vital. So yeah, Spa will be interesting with Halo, because you can't see right in the middle. You can only see that way or that way, and the cars will just go straight down, then all the way back up. That'll be interesting, following another car into Rouge with Halo on. I feel that the FIA are trying to get a crash and prove that Halo is the best thing for F1. But with that said, F1 is the worst thing in the sport's history. I think that crashes will be more deadly with Halo than without it. Of course, if there is a point a car goes fully on upside down, what reason is there to think that the driver himself would get dizzy, or would get like cramp, or would get bad like headroom? He'll get like claustrophobic, I think that's it, yeah. And he might pass out when there's a fire happening, and what then? You can't save the driver if it's upside down and the driver's passed out, can you? And there's a fire. I'm surprised that there's no fire engines that blow out the like car when it's on fire. There's no fire engine or anything like that. Just a couple of fire extinguishers. I think like a small fire engine truck would do better, because more water, more time will get like the fire out. So that's my rant on the Halo. It's the worst thing in the history of F1. I do hope they go away from it in the future, maybe by the end of the season, but you never know with F1 now. Halo is here to stay. Open wheel racing like back in the day, you're never going to get into that anymore. I am deeply saddened by that, because back in the 90s and the early 2000s, they were the best time in F1's history, and yeah, I think that'll be ruined now because of Halo and a potential furthermore canopy in the future. So thank you for watching. My name is Sam ReaN, and I do hope you had a great time watching me, and I do see you next time.